on the end after Ben's on.
Sounds good. Man, Game 4 was one of the best finals games I've ever watched. And so we're going to talk to not one, but two people who had the best view in the house. Legs, who, of course, is calling the games from courtside, and everybody knows him. Ben Stiller is joining the show to talk about his experience in this Knicks run. All that and more in today's All-NBA show. What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/AllCity. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague who's been traveling across the globe and watching some great basketball up close and personal. It's Tim Legler. Legs, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and I am, as I think most people are, really, really anxious to see what we're going to get for Game 5 after that monumental game, epic collapse, however you want to frame it. It takes both parties, I think, to get that done. So you got to give the Knicks a lot of credit, but certainly the Spurs helped contribute to that. And now you just see what does Game 5 look like, particularly from the Spurs perspective. That's what I'm anxious to see.
It's so funny because this is your first finals. We talked about coming into it, how it was a big deal. It felt like the pinnacle of your career. And you don't know what you're going to get. Like for a lot of the season, Legs, you've had some blowouts. Like we kind of been joking about it where you've been traveling the regular season and you get a game you're excited about. It doesn't end up close. These 4 finals games, 10 out of 10, A+. They have been unbelievable so far.
I don't think – has there been a finals like this where you've had 4 games in a row to start the finals that were winnable by both teams with 2 minutes left in the game? Because that's really what we're looking at here. And certainly didn't look like we were going to get that the other night. Obviously, halftime, I'm going to be honest. Halftime, I'm thinking, okay, there's no chance that the Knicks come back in this game. I actually started to drift ahead a little bit mentally to Game 5, thinking okay, man, we're going to now shrink this to a best of 3. And at that point, if that played out that way, we're 4 games in without a home win. That's where I thought we were headed. How unusual is that? Nobody can win on their home floor, and then obviously it all just flipped on its head.
It did all flip on its head, man. And let's go back to this Game 4 because this whole series has been great. But Game 4 to me was one of it's a short list of games we'll remember without having to think. If you talk about best finals games, I think Game 4 of that, just a couple nights ago will be one of those ones that comes to mind. So walk me through your experience because this was the game that was a blowout. And for a lot of it was when they got up by 29 points in that first half. Did you feel like it was over? You have the sense, or is this new era, you kind of always know 29 points isn't what it used to be?
Well, you're sitting there and it gets to be 16, 18, even 20. You're thinking, okay, and in the old, I always make a joke, you don't want to be up 20 in the first half of an NBA game because that doesn't mean a lot anymore. But when you start talking about 25, 27, 29 points in the second half of a game, the way that the Spurs had shot the ball in the first half, how comfortable they looked, they just looked so poised and in their element and, in the Garden. And that crowd was just completely taken out of it and the energy that they can create in that building. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say if I said that I didn't believe that the game was over. I figured the Knicks would make a run. And what I thought that was going to look like was at some point the Spurs will cool off a little bit here, and the Knicks will play better, and they'll probably get this to 12, and then maybe it ends up 12 or 8 or 16 at that point. But I didn't see actually being able to chase them down the way that they did and get all the way across the finish line. So many things had to happen just the way that they did. But I want to start with this, Adam. For me, and I said it on the broadcast, the first 5-6 minutes of the third quarter, the San Antonio Spurs continued to take quick 3-point shots. And they started to turn the ball over. They had 2 turnovers at halftime, 2. It's an insanely low number for an NBA Finals game with that level of pressure. They made 14 threes in the first half. Historic shooting performance. They didn't really change their approach, which is fine. Okay, you dip your toe in the water to start the third quarter. Are we still that high? They go 1 for 10 from the 3 in the quarter. And I said to Richard and during a break, I'm like, this is like a math problem, really, more than anything. You've got to find a way, if you're the Knicks, to have more time and more possessions So how do you get that from the Spurs? Quick shots and turnovers, because the math was not going to add up. There's not going to be enough time. There's not going to be enough possessions. Even if the Spurs are shooting decent or the Knicks shoot out of their mind, it's just not enough time unless the Spurs take quick shots, miss, and turn the ball over. They did both of those things. So the vibe certainly changed in that moment, in that first 6-8 minutes of the third quarter. But they're still up big. And you're thinking it's now they're going to get some more balance in their offense. The guards will get back into the lane. Wemby will be at the rim again. And even if you don't shoot great, you'll score enough to hold off the Knicks. That's what it felt like to me. And they didn't really change their approach there for too long of a stretch. And it gave the Knicks belief. Yep. They started to believe, but they didn't really think they could do it, I think, for me, it was this OG 3 with about 7.5 minutes to go to cut it to 11. I looked at both teams at that point, and it looked like the Knicks then were convinced they were going to win the game, and the Spurs looked like they really couldn't believe what was happening.
Right.
And that's when I thought, man, this is actually possible.
Yeah. It happened kind of fast, to your point. And I think for me, the Spurs losing rhythm, you play this modern game with all the threes and the pace and everything of it. 29 points is still a lot, but you only have to cough up a little bit of that before you can feel the gap now all of a sudden close. And I thought the Spurs played with great, rhythm in the first half. The ball was popping. That you have to be aggressive to get the ball popping. You have to take risks because you have to try to create an advantage, move the ball. Once the lead started to slip, it felt like the Spurs were afraid to make mistakes. The ball stopped moving, and that's where you get into bad shots. Some of them were fast, trying to play too early and get shots up quick, but other ones were 10, 15 seconds would go by on the shot clock where the ball only had maybe one pass, one action, and once you start to do that, you can feel tighten up. And I think the Knicks, when you talk about a veteran team, I just think they can sense when a team has tightened up. And that's the sense I got when they went on the 16-0 run is you could see the timeout was called and you could see the Knicks kind of look at each other like they're tightening up here. Like, okay, here's the moment. That's what it looked like, at least for me, from watching the broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, man. And I never played in the NBA Finals, but I've been a lot of games in my life where either down big or up big, and it starts to change. And there's always that moment when you kind of look at your opponent in the eye and you realize like the vibe is changing in this game. And now it becomes a matter of what do you do to right the ship? What do you do to stop momentum? Because you think about it at that point, if you get into the fourth quarter, it's early fourth quarter. Now the Knicks have it under 20, which in an NBA, we all know that's a lot of time. One quarter, 19-point, 18-point game, that's plenty of time. What do you do if you're the Spurs to stop it? It only takes 2-3 buckets, and you're going to end up winning the game. That's literally what we're talking about. For me, the indecision with their ball handling, where they were initiating possessions, just the uncertainty. And for me, that it was like the one time in this series, I looked at the Spurs and we were like, this is a young team. It's a very young team. And I know they've got this incredible player in Victor Wembanyama. They've got these young guards that are so dynamic. But in that moment, they looked a little just unsure about what they wanted to do offensively. And look, you can, some of that, you're going to question Mitch Johnson, of course, and we're going to talk to him tomorrow night. I'm sure he's going to own, whatever role he feels like he played in it. What could I have done differently? What could we have run for our team to get a quality shot in that moment? The guards have to take ownership. Were we getting our guys organized? Did we look strong in our movements, handling the ball, directing traffic? They didn't look like that during that time in the fourth quarter when the Knicks started to feel it and the building started to rise. And what was interesting about it, the one thing the Knicks really can't do, they don't pressure up the floor. So you almost feel like that's the other thing you almost need, pressure up the floor, force them to play faster, get into guys, turn them. That's not really who the Knicks are defensively. They're a really good defensive team, but they don't have guys like San Antonio does. They don't have guys like Harper and Castle and Vassell and that can get up in you 94 feet. The Knicks are different. So they even were playing a half-court defensive game, and they still were able to make the Spurs uncomfortable because the moment started to feel different to the Spurs in that time. And now it's just a matter of, can you make enough shots in the last 3 minutes to actually do this? And we all know what the rest of that story was.
But this game had so many big plays because all of the things you said, obviously are true. And that was the momentum and the rhythm of the game. But if you just go to the last handful of minutes, there was like 8 plays that could have defined the game. I mean, we'll start. We had Victor Wembanyama's missed free throws, which were huge. And you know how it is, man. You go up and shoot one, you've got 2 free throws, you missed the first one. And I think Wemby has had incredible resolve in this entire playoffs, and he's been great. He's playing above his age for sure, even for a superstar. But when he missed the first one, I thought he looked so nervous shooting the second one, and I was not surprised when that one went out. Just walk us through that moment, because that felt big too, because that was like a settle down moment for the Spurs.
I was shocked. I was shocked that he missed both. I really was, because the one thing I've watched Wemby over the course of the season. That guy's incredibly confident with his routine at the foul line. It's pure. It comes off. It looks beautiful. It's got the right arc, the right rotation. He's shooting 85% for the postseason in 21 games. Like it's such a luxury to have a big man that's going to go to the line a lot, particularly in the postseason, that can make free throws. And historically, guys over 7'2", 7'3" are not good foul shooters. I mean, Yao Ming would probably be the best that comes to mind. Victor Wembanyama may be the best of all. And so I was really surprised he missed both. And honestly, he missed the first one. I didn't think like, oh man, I didn't have that feeling in the moment. I was very confident he was going to make that free throw, that second one. That really, to me, was a monumental moment, because it almost signaled to everybody in the arena, and maybe even to the Knicks, that like, okay, man, they're affected.
Yep.
If this guy missed 2 free throws, you know what I mean? So this isn't a guy that's a 60% foul shooter where you're kind of counting on that guy to miss 2. This was Victor Wembanyama. He's a pure foul shooter, and he still missed them both. I agree with you. Big moment in the game.
Well, how about Josh Hart's missed layup? Because the whole game was a slow comeback, like just trying to get the lead. That one would have given him a lead, and he misses it. And then when I was watching the angle of the broadcast, it looked like he got fouled. You show a replay, there's no contact at all. It wasn't even like a soft push. There was no contact. And when he missed that one, I felt like that was the story. As I'm watching, I go, oh my God, they almost came back and blew it at the very end. So just go to that play then next. Josh Hart blows the layup.
Well, it's wild, man, because he's got the breakaway, and it's like we're now like about to go into a different call of the game. If he lays this in, it was wild. I don't know. Yeah, maybe the angle of TV at home was different. At no point did we think that he got fouled, but I did think he jumped with the intent of dunking the ball over the front of the rim.
Yeah,
and I kind of made a joke that like the elevator didn't go to that floor at that time. Nope. Okay, so now the problem is if you jump and you're going to dunk over the front, and and every athlete knows these guys go up. I wasn't a dunker, but these guys go up, and it's like I'm not going to get there. The problem is when you're in the front of the rim, you can't adjust your body at the last second to take it off the glass.
Right.
And as we all know, the hardest shot in the world is to shoot a layup at the rim over the front of the rim. There's too much margin for error, because if you shoot it too hard, it hits the back rim, it comes out.
What happened?
And so it's just a tougher shot than getting it up on the backboard, which you're taught when you're 8 years old, go into layup lines, get it up on the square. Well, when you jump that far out and you're that far in front of the rim, you can't then just take it to the side and get it off the glass. And of course he misses, he falls, and now like the Spurs actually have numbers going the other way. So you're thinking, if they lose this game, this is going to end up being the biggest play of the game. We'll be talking about that, for the next 24 hours when the game ends. And it turns out, obviously, Josh Hart got bailed out from that situation.
So the next play that's crazy and everybody has been talking about is the De'Aaron Fox fast break. And, I'm so curious on this one, because I think obviously in hindsight, pull it back, just let the clock run, shoot some free throws. But he's a fast player and he had an angle. There was nobody in front of him. OG had to catch him, close the gap to close on that. As you're watching that one live, did you feel like he was making a mistake in the moment and that he should have just dribbled it out?
In the moment, when that long rebound came out and he grabbed it, like in the moment right there quickly, I'm thinking that he's just probably going to veer off and they're going to chase him and foul him and he's going to go to the line. They're going to have a chance to go up 3. I did, like in that blink of an eye, but it happened so fast. He's at the rim and the shot's blocked And we didn't really even get a chance to like comment on it in the moment because the play was still going on. The ball's going the other way. And it looked like the Knicks are advancing the ball up the floor to potentially just keep playing and maybe take a shot to win the game, like at the buzzer. So they're coming up the floor and we're waiting to see what's going to happen. And then that weird foul takes place at half court. And now you're like, wait, was that in the moment? It's hard to even tell. Was it a foul? Was it a timeout call? Was it backcourt? Was it a backcourt violation?
Right.
And then we show the replay. And so then obviously Richard and I had to talk about that replay because that was if that's a backcourt violation, you think about what just happened. The Spurs are going to get the ball back. Now the Knicks have to foul and all that. And of course we had to explain the ball never crossed. His feet did, but the ball is actually, if that was intentional on the part of Alvarado, that's an incredible play. To keep the ball behind you in the backcourt while your feet go into the front court. And then of course the foul takes place, they had to foul again. So we're walking through all of that sequence. But yes, when he first caught it, like in a blink of an eye, because it happened so quickly, I thought just he's going to now just be chased and get fouled. He thought he was quick enough to turn the corner, get to the spot. And I'm telling you right now, he's not the only player in the league that would have made that play. I know he got beat up badly for it after the game and all that.
Yeah. I
do think there are guys, the quicker guys in this league are thinking that because that was an incredible play by Anunoby to run him down. He's thinking, I lay this in, I don't have to worry about the free throws. Like, you just lay it in, and now it's a 3-point game one way or another. I think most people are thinking, no, you dribble out, get fouled, burn up a couple more seconds, go make your 2 free throws. And I don't know what exactly was going through De'Aaron Fox's head. We're going to talk to him today to see exactly what he was thinking. Because people start speculating, well, maybe he didn't want to go to the line. And I don't think that was the case with De'Aaron Fox. Maybe he was feeling that and he wanted to just get the layup over with, and they're up 3 either way. But I think most people thought burn more time, let them come foul you, put your team in a better position to win. And I totally get that line of thinking.
And then, of course, the last play, you inbound it to Brunson. Wemby's there. He elects to take the really quick, super deep 3, which I think I understood in that moment because Wemby is hard to beat, especially when you only have so much time. He's hard to beat because you have to beat him by so much to get past his length. So he goes to the quick 3. And at the time, I'm thinking, it was like Damian Lillard. You recall years back against the Thunder. Yeah. He pulls up from 3. He says, you know what? No move. Just pull up. And when it comes off the rim, OG Anunoby gets his hand on it. And I think it is underappreciated how tough / a little bit lucky that shot was because he times everything perfectly. The ball comes to him, but it's not a shot. He kind of just slaps at the ball. Like all he can do is try to get a hand on it directionally. Like the hoop's over here. Let me see if I can tip it. And he tips it just perfectly. We had a great stat that it was, I think there's only been 2 in the tracking era, 2 players who have tipped a non-dunk put back in from that distance. So it's not like it's an easy tip in. And he just gets a hand on it. And it goes. How did you experience that play? Did you see it unfolding? What was that like?
Well, we're setting it up. So we come out of the break and they're about to get into this play. And I said it on the broadcast, and I think that's what they were going to do. 1-4 flat for Brunson. But I don't think Brunson was expecting to see Wemby. Yeah. He was expecting to see somebody else. And the reason I said a 1-4 flat, if you bring up somebody to engage in a ball screen in that situation, you're talking 6 seconds to go, whatever it was. You got a chance of getting really aggressively trapped out on the floor. Number one, the ball's taken out of your best player's hands. Number two, the activity level of the Spurs and their traps. You could get a tipped ball, turn the ball over. Your spacing might not be great. So that's why I said, get it in 1-4 flat, see if Brunson can get to his mid-range or a step back. We've seen him do it before. And then he turns and looks, and it's Wemby in front of him. So I agree with you. He probably immediately – and then Fox has now left Anunoby, and he's over in that area. And it wasn't like an aggressive trap, but he was clearly shading to that side of the floor and forgot about Anunoby. Like they were disregarding him. And I think Brunson did the one thing he could do right then. I can get this shot off from 30 feet or whatever the distance was. Deep 3. Because against Wemby, it's going to be a much more difficult thing to try to go generate your own shot from that distance.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he processed. And he shot it right on line. And when he shot it, like halfway there, it's kind of looking, I knew it's straight. I can tell as a shooter, like that ball's headed right toward the front of the rim. It did start to look like its ball's going to be short. And I'm looking at the flight of the ball in the rim, and I'm not really out of the corner of my eyes when you start to see that white jersey come streaking in. Here's what's crazy about it. That ball has to hit the front of the rim and kick back the way it did.
Perfectly.
If the ball kicks right or left, the game is over. Anunoby's not getting to that ball.
Yeah.
So it has to hit the front of the rim. It has to hang in the air long enough to give Anunoby the chance to go and then like make the play in front of those other guys to get his hand on it first. He's got full extension, so his fingertips are probably close to the top of the square at that point. And then not only that, you have to tip the ball with enough force to, I don't know, what was the distance? 5 feet? What did they say?
I think they 7 feet, and his release point was above 10 feet. So those were the two qualifiers.
So to tip the ball that far, you have to be able to get enough of your hand on it to generate the force to go in that direction, that distance. So just all of that aligning in that way. Well, let's start with where that ball has to come off, Adam. It comes off in any other direction.
Yeah.
If it kicks even just the slightest bit right or left, or it hits the back of the rim, the game's over. And it didn't. It hit right where it had to for OG Anunoby to make that play.
And it makes for an all-time finals moment, one that we'll probably be watching on highlights and talking about for 20, 30 years from now. That's how big of a shot that was and how big of a moment. And let's take a break now, because on the other side, we have our special guest here ready backstage to join us, who was maybe the only person in the building with a better seat than you, Legs, just opposite of you on the other side. We have Ben Stiller to talk about the entire experience, and especially Game 4. Had when you were a kid? What did you want to be when you grew up? How about now? Are you thinking about starting your own business? Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Shopify even powers the All City merch store, where you can buy awesome merch like shirts, hats, hoodies, and more. Shopify has you covered with website creation, product descriptions, email, and social media marketing, and more. They also have AI tools designed to help you maximize sales. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for the $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. Also want to tell you guys about Kalshi. The playoffs are here. We might only have one game left. I can't believe it, man. The NBA season is both so long and so fast. On Kalshi, you can trade on this Game 5 or the rest of the series. Right now, the Knicks are at 81%. It's been 80 or 81% for the last 48 hours. I don't think it's going to move there. What's cool about Kalshi is you're playing against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as probabilities change, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app, use the code ALLNBA, and get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, Kalshi, trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. All right, segment 3 now. And let's welcome in our special guest. He is, of course, actor and director, as well as famous Knicks fan who is having the time of his life, I imagine. It's Ben Stiller. Ben, thank you so much for taking time to join us.
I was just listening to you guys talking about the shot, the tip in. Like, I just literally, I'm still like, I could watch that. I just keep watching it over and over again. I could listen to you guys talk about it for 10 hours. It's just insane.
It really is insane, man. And it is one of those moments, as I mentioned, there's a handful of plays in NBA history that just live forever. They come back every time we talk about big moments. And it's rare that you get to experience one. I mean, it's only every 10 years or so you get a play like this. And this entire run has felt to me, and I'm not even a Knicks fan, I'm just an NBA fan. It's felt like a magical run. There's so many magical, the comeback against the Cavs, this comeback, all the big shots. What has this experience been like for you personally? And does it feel to you like that? You're part of movies. It feels like a movie where you're almost pinching yourself because it doesn't feel real.
Yeah, it's beyond a movie, because it's really happening. And that game, the last game, it was just unreal. I mean, and I was at the Cavs comeback, which was unreal too, but this was another level for sure. And that play is just like what you were saying about all the variables, and just as a fan of the team and as a fan of OG Anunoby, and, for fans watching him over the years the few years that he's been in New York, there's just this incredible sense of like, yeah, this makes sense because this is what this guy is about. But it was the confluence, I think, of all those things coming together, his talent, his skill, his dedication to the team, and everything he can do that is so special in that moment. So man, I don't know. It's just like incredible.
Hey, Ben, take us first. Then I got to ask you because let me ask you a question. You seem like, as you're sitting there, you're hanging in, like mentally hanging in. Walk me through when they're down 29 points in the third quarter and this build up to this game. When you going into it, you think we have a chance to put ourselves in commanding position to win this series and win a title. And now you're down 29 points. Where were you mentally sitting there processing that, and were you hanging in and still did you maintain belief at that time?
Well, I mean, let's put our cards on the table, Tim. We had dinner the night before, right? And you were telling me, you were kind of giving me some feedback about New York fans. Can we talk about that? Because it was actually in my head. You were saying like, hey, like New York fans, I'm watching you guys and I see how you have this anxiousness, this anxiety, when things start to go bad, no matter what, you kind of like, you're like, rah, 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 incredible, life is incredible. And then all of a sudden, like it's tied and everybody gets quiet and tenses up. And I'm like, that's all fans, Tim. And you're like, no, that's not all fans. That's New York fans. And what it is all these years of like, never happening, never getting there. So yeah, that's something I think is just like it is. And that stress is there. So during that game, it was so unreal that they got behind by so much. Then when it went down to 30, as if it was a normal regular season game, I probably would have been, more out of it. But also I was thinking about, because it would be like, okay, this is just one of those games. But when it gets to this point, it's the finals. You have to. Every game is so important. You have to have some sort of hope or belief. And I was thinking about what you had said, and I was like, you had mentioned like, sometimes the players feel that energy from the fans, right? You said that, right? That like sometimes.
Yes, absolutely do.
And I always feel like as a fan, like when I'm sitting up close there, I want to be there for the players because, they can see you can see them. And, but I felt like, oh, this might be, it was so shocking that I thought, okay, there's really no way we're going to get back from this in this game. It was like, it wasn't like it's over. It was just sort of like, I guess this is happening. I can't believe it. And we're going to have to I heard Adam Sandler actually talking about this on another podcast. And it was the same thing where we started thinking about, okay, we're just, game 5. Okay. We just have to shift.
That's what I was meant. Were you already there? Because listen, I'm calling the game. So I'm living it in the moment very much so. But at the same time, you're kind of go to break and you're kind of sitting there and you're thinking about, okay, this is probably going to be now a best of 3 and no home team has won a game yet. That's kind of where we're at. And then boom, here it comes. And I started to sense it early third quarter when they were taking on threes and it was like, okay, it's interesting. But really it was mid-4th when they got it to 11. That was the first time I looked at both teams and I thought, and the crowd and everybody, I think in that moment was thinking we actually can pull this off.
Yeah. When we got it under 15, I was like, okay, if this, what I was thinking, about was like the feeling of the game, because the feeling of the game up to that point was we haven't really figured out how to get it together and make it work in this, like a normal game. We say like, okay, we're down by 15. But like I said to Christine at one point, like, this is so ridiculous. Like we're down by 15 and this is a good thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like, okay, now.
Right.
That's what I was feeling. Like, it's like, oh, it's been so bad the whole game that now that so I wasn't quite thinking, oh, this team is going to like figure it out. If I'm being really honest, I was thinking like, okay, we're fighting back. We're going to make it a good fight. And that's going to mean something for the next game because,
right.
We chip into this lead. The crowd is, going to appreciate that. And, this got away from us and we're going to have to figure it out. And even when it was like, we were down by 4, for me as a fan, what I do is like, I get in this place where I'm like, okay, I'm excited, but I'm not going to really let it because we're still down by 4 and we've never gotten over the hump. And I had so many of those games over the years and years of games with the Knicks where it'd be like one of those games where like, oh, we got within 4 and then we could never get over the hump. So, that's my honest feeling. Like I love the team so much. I believe in this team so much. When it started to happen and then it was like, oh my God, it was unbelievable because it was just such a huge comeback. And then, that last play is just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Listen, I've said it this way, and it's my first finals. And I just walked into and was able to sit there on the call for what will be one of the most iconic moments in NBA history. And I really believe that the tip in, but the game, the comeback, all of that. Whether the Knicks win the series or not, it's going to be that. But if they go on to actually win the series and win their first championship in 53 years, you're talking about a play. Yeah. My first grandchild was born, less than 2 months ago. 50 years from now, they're going to be playing that at the open of the NBA Finals. That play is going to be on there, whether the Knicks win or lose, but certainly if they hold on to win. And we were there, like in the moment, to experience that. On TV was amazing. In the moment to sit there and watch it, I'm still kind of in a state of shock.
I'm in a state of shock too, and I'm feeling tingly talking. I mean, I get emotional thinking it's emotional, I mean, like people, it's emotional. I love that player so much. I just think he kind of embodies, everything about professionalism, dedication. You can tell he has a good heart. I don't really know OG at all. I mean, I've said hi to him a few times. He's always very nice, but like the way he comports himself, his attitude towards the work, it's funny too, because he's always, I happened to be in the press room for the post-game press conference because, filming some stuff. And when he finally smiled, when he, with the first question, he said, like, how do you feel? Oh, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
It's so genuine. Like, I mean, it's
a
huge moment. I'm none of us, I think, could feel how huge, like really get how huge it was, because when you're there in the moment and it's happening, it's just happening. But then, you realize, oh, wow, this is, the reverberations of this are so big. So that's pretty amazing too, when you're right up there, right up close watching it. And I went back and listened to the call and, Mike's, it's good is, that's iconic now too. Just incredible.
One of the things that stood out to me, and I totally related to it, was after the game, oftentimes courtside, prominent figures, celebrities, 5 minutes, then you're out of there. You kind of hang around. It felt like nobody wanted to go home after that game because the moment happened and there were these interviews that were on court and you still see everybody there in the stands and everything. What was it like in the immediate aftermath? Because again, watching it, it just felt like nobody wanted to leave. They wanted the moment to extend as long as they could.
I mean, yeah, it was just pure. It was like purely being in the moment and the adrenaline and all of it. It was just such a communal connection and feeling, I've never met Nas. I was high-fiving and hugging him. I mean, come on. These people like that you go to these games with, everybody's connected. And yeah, nobody wanted to leave. I ran out on the court after the shot, with my phone in my mind, because I knew they'd blown the whistle. In my mind, I was thinking, like, I didn't really realize it was like a second and a half left or whatever.
Oh my.
You know what I mean? And I was like, filming with my phone, and I just ran out onto the court, and I realized, oh shit, I'm like halfway out on the court. I'm not really.
What if you somehow got a technical foul to cost the Knicks that game because you ran out onto the court prematurely? By the way, you weren't the only one, and that was an interesting thing. I compared it to. Yeah, you see it in college all the time. They storm the court.
Yeah.
This was a storming of the court when the game finally ended, but it was a storming of the court of a bunch of A-list celebrities storming the court.
That's my worst nightmare, what you just said. That if I was in some way responsible, come on. By the way, did that even happen? Is that a thing?
No. You probably no. A fan running onto the court prematurely, you probably would have been dragged out of there and arrested, and you wouldn't have seen the end of the game. Right. You're not gonna get the home team a technical foul.
The guy in San Antonio or whatever. But I'm the kid who, when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, was running out onto right field in Yankee Stadium, like when they championship, and ripping up a piece of the field and bringing it home to my room. So I remember being the illegal fan on the field, but no, I mean, I just was so caught up. And then it was that realization, like, oh, wait a minute, we have another second and a half. And that was crazy because everybody was so high from it. And then, that play was incredible. That Cat actually tipped the ball.
Can you tell us, because everybody's had a different reaction, obviously, all these famous faces, but like it looked to me like Tracy Morgan was having a religious experience. Can you please talk about that? He was crying.
Tracy was crying. I don't quite understand I think it was just like the emotion of the moment. I went over to him, I put my arm around him, and he was I think he just couldn't believe it.
Overwhelmed.
And it was, I mean, everybody was just, I honestly have never felt anything like it. The depth of, your feelings you don't really understand it until you're in the moment as a fan, because also what do we, and then jumping back up and down backstage with Chalamet and everybody and the Knick City dancers. And it was like mayhem. It was crazy.
So now this series is a long way from over, because all 4 of these games have been winnable by either team in the last 2 minutes. I don't think we've ever had an NBA final start off this way. So, I mean, there's no reason to think that game 5 won't be a similar type game. Very winnable. So the San Antonio Spurs are a great team. It's this far from over, but can you kind of tell us what this feels like right now in the city, on the brink with 1 win to go, for something that this fan base in this city has been so starved for so long?
I mean, the reality of it, I think, is starting to, sink in terms of the possibility of this being a reality. I think, though, every time it seems like, you're about to get there, there's something like that happens, So I think you're right. We have to I think the feeling is everybody's like running, yelling "Go Knicks" on the street. I walk around, people yell "Go Knicks" to me, and it's like that great bond with strangers. I think until it happens, though, it hasn't happened yet. I think that's the feeling. I think even before, after game 2, that was the feeling, and then game 3 happened. So it's just, I don't know, man. I think we're right there, and I think you're right. Let's see what happens. It's like the first half of the game, they were so dominant. You and I even talked at halftime, and you were saying this is kind of like that Spurs team that everybody saw all year, and maybe they've shown, and I was feeling that too, maybe they're just now they're locked in and they're not gonna let us, back in. That's what I thought. So I don't think there's ever been a time in this series yet where you could just relax or exhale at all.
No, not at all. I've never seen anything like it's my first one calling it, but obviously I cover them all, watch them all, going back as far as I can remember. I don't remember a series in the finals having 4 games in a row to start the series where either team could win the game with a handful of possessions left.
Yeah, as a Knicks fan, I'd like to believe that was a punch in the gut for them, and they're not going to be able to respond because they had that, and but like Cleveland. But I don't think this team is very good, and so I think it's going to be a different situation, and who knows what's going to happen on Saturday, but
Yeah. Where does this rate amongst your all-time favorite sports memories? I have to imagine it's so magical. I feel like it's number 1. But what other sports experiences of your lifetime are in the conversation?
I think this is definitely up until recently. It was a couple years ago, the Dante shot. In the Philadelphia playoff series, which was not was an earlier round, but it was still one of the most amazing moments to be there live for. Being there when Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs in the World Series with my dad, right field deck.
Wow,
man!
Wow, I didn't even know that. That's incredible. You just dropped that. Yeah, I was at the game of Reggie hit 3 home runs in the World Series. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I was at the Bill Buckner '86 World Series.
Oh wow, gosh.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that wasn't that was I was a Mets fan, but not like this. And I was really, as a kid, I was really a big Yankees fan, and then I kind of became a casual with baseball. But I'd say this is definitely just because also the for me personally, being able to be around this and being this close to it, I just can't,
right.
It's an incredible gift to be able to even to be able to talk to you and Mike and just see a little bit of the inner workings and know these some of these players a little bit. It's like kid in a candy store kind of thing. That's like, really. It's just I'm just like floating on air with the whole.
Is it safe to make the assumption that you're going to be at every game? Both if it goes 7, you're going to be at Game 5 Saturday. You're going to be obviously 6, and then if it goes to a game, so you're not missing any games in person.
I have scheduled my life around, much to the chagrin of many other people around in my life.
I've got one last question for you, Ben. And we saw you got to the arena 4 hours early the other day. And you've talked about being in the pressers. Yeah. What new perspective do you have being around every single game of this entire run and and having the access that you've had? Has your perspective changed at all, or something that you appreciate more?
Well, I mean, yeah, to see like what goes into it, in terms of like the media availabilities and what the schedules are for the players and the press and everybody on those days, how like, the other night, I guess it was after Game 3, that was such a late night and the loss. Then like the players had to come in the next day, right, for practice and media availability in between Game 4. And like, just even thinking about that, like, cause you're like up to like 1 o'clock in the morning and the adrenaline's buzzing and all that, or exhausted from the loss. And then you have to come back in the next day and do it all over again. It gave me a real appreciation for how hard this is, for everybody to keep your energy up and your stamina, let alone as a fan, it's hard, right? Because you have to keep it going. Like you have to, you can't help it. You feel, but like you have to engage, and it's exhausting emotionally because you're riding. But for the players, and Tim, I don't know, I'm sure you felt like just to have to, like at a certain point, I would imagine, even if it's physical exhaustion or mental exhaustion, that one of the teams is going to not be able to keep it going as much when you get this deep into a series. I'm thinking about like, if this goes 7, like it's just the stamina it takes to bring it, right, emotionally and mentally, it's really challenging.
The mental component of it, like that is where, when you go through something like this with this kind of an emotional roller coaster that these guys are on in this series, the emotional and mental component is what typically will start to maybe crack first at some point. Physically, these guys are exhausted. I mean, all these guys are playing more minutes than they normally do. The physicality of the game just going to make you more tired, and you can fight through that. You can figure out a way to fight through that. But can you maintain like the mental sharpness and the toughness that you have to have in those handful of game defining, and in some cases, like career defining moments we're talking about right now? That's what we're living with these guys.
Yeah, because at a certain point, the exhaustion is so much, I would imagine, that then, and I've heard players talk about it, then you just rely on your instincts or your habits, right? That's what you're going to revert to. And so, like, when you watch like the footage of that last play where OG blocks, Fox's shot, and then the second part of it, it's like all happening so fast in real time that all it is you can tell is like he's just doing what he does and he's not thinking about it. I'm sure the same way when he got the tip, and he's not, he's just doing because he's totally locked in. And I think that's the challenge. It must be like to maintain that. Because the split-second decision, like, I don't know, like if you guys talked about the De'Aaron Fox, like going for that layup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether or not that was right or wrong, or, like, was that him? Was that a, conscious thought, or was he?
I think we talked about it a little bit. Obviously it's a big play, but we talked about it a little bit. I just think he literally in the moment thought he's one of the quickest guys in the league.
Yep.
He ran to that ball. He has an advantage on OG. He thinks he can get that up on the glass. And look, one way or another, they're going to have to come up with 2 points right there. So he's, if I can lay this in, you don't have to worry about the free throws.
Right.
And, he didn't think that OG could close that distance. Now, a lot of people are going to say automatically you get your hands on the ball, veer out, kill 2 more seconds, even if you can, and then take the foul. Yeah, there's a lot of truth in that. And I do think that's probably the smarter play. But I do think there are other guys in the league that are quick that would have thought, I can get this to the glass before he gets there. And then I've taken the, possibly missing a free throw off the table because we get the layup. So I think the smarter play would have been to veer off, take the foul, eat some clock, make the free throw, shrink the game for the Knicks. But he was trusting his athletic ability in the moment, and OG made the play of a lifetime defensively.
Right. And that's just in the moment. Like you say, like the same thing with the Josh Hart, miss on the on the layup before that? Like, what was, I don't know, like, what was that thinking? I'm sure did you guys talk about that? Like,
he wanted to, I can just tell you, he wanted to dunk it over the front of the rim with two hands. And as he jumped, he realized that his elevator was not going to make it to that floor. So now you're trying to adjust midair. And once you go over the front of the rim, you don't have an angle to get it up on the backboard, which is obviously in any layup. It's always better to use the glass. He couldn't get there from that angle because he was going over the front of the rim. So he just tried to sort of finesse it in with two hands. A very awkward, difficult shot to make in that situation.
Right. Those of us who don't have an elevator don't know.
My elevator never goes to that floor. Yeah.
The elevator goes to the basement.
Yeah. Well, this has been incredible, Ben. We really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us and walk us through this experience. It's fun how relatable everything you're saying is. I think every fan that has been through these, knows exactly what all of these feelings are like, and it's really cool that you took time, and we've enjoyed watching it.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, what a gift, right, to have been there for that. To share that with all those people in that building. I mean, I've never ever heard MSG that loud. All the years. It was just incredible, and that feeling of joy and happiness, and like, it never happens like that for the Knicks. So
and I just, my last word on this is just obviously, yes, we're still like reliving this epic moment, and its place in history, and it's just incredible. We were both there to experience it. This is going to be a great game on Saturday. I thank you so much for joining us. And I also want to just say one of the coolest experiences for me this season is just connecting with you, man, and being able to spend some time with you and develop a friendship and talk hoops and talk all kinds of other stuff too. It's been a blast, man.
I know, me too. I've loved it. It's been a great time.
Awesome. Well, he is Ben Stiller. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's take a break, everybody. On the other side, Legler and I are going to look ahead now to Game 5 and talk about the series is not over. Or is it? We'll get to that on the other side. But first, FanDuel, the biggest stage in world soccer, is here. I don't know, you guys are in full swing now. Every goal changes everything, and now FanDuel is giving you a reason to root for every single one. Introducing Every Goal Pays. Be on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. That's right. More goals means more bonus bets, and all you have to do is turn on your token. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/allcity to get started now. Must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. You know that moment, the one where you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach, on the roof of your car, at a gas station 3 states away? Well, I've been there too, but I've got Shady Rays. They've changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. They're seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. It is sunglass season. If you don't have sunglasses, I'm telling you, this is the best deal you're going to get. The wild part is, if you lose or break them even on day one, Shady Rays just sends you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So you can wear your glasses without fear on hikes, concerts, boats, wherever. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Go to shadyrays.com and use the code ALLCITY for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. All right, we're back here on our final segment of the All-NBA show. Real briefly here, Legs. First of all, how great was that, man? I do love it. Like I said to him. You can't hear me?
I can't hear you, Adam.
Are you kidding me? What happened? How did we lose him? Let's see if we can't pull him off here and get him back on the stage here. Legs, can you hear me now? Still no?
I got no audio.
He's got no audio. All right, well, we had something else. Legs, I can wrap up without you. Good luck. You can hear us, so you can wave to the people. Good luck in Game 5. I'm rooting for this to get extended to New York. No matter what happens, I'm just rooting for that series to go an extra one. As we look ahead, though, I keep thinking about where the series goes from here. And I think on the surface, my default is that it is very unlikely for San Antonio to be able to bounce back and get a win, just because the emotional low from not just losing a game, but blowing a game and being down 3-1 is really, really tough. The second part of it is that I think this Knicks team is among the most resilient teams we've seen over the last decade, and champions are almost always resilient. It's one of their defining traits. But I think this Knicks team is especially resilient, and they have shown that and demonstrated it through this entire run, really in the back half of the season, and then especially in this playoff run. So now you're talking about a 3-1 comeback against a team that is, in my opinion, especially designed to avoid those types of collapses. They're not going to beat themselves. They're not going to get down on themselves. They're going to have the toughness in those moments. But this series has been very close. And I said this on the show the other day. Legs and I were actually talking offline the other day about this, about how all 4 games, this easily could be 4-0 Knicks, 4-0 Spurs. And when you just take that into account and say the margins are small, and I think San Antonio has probably made more mistakes than the Knicks have, especially when you talk about down the stretch of that collapse. But even late in some of these other games, I think that the Spurs have tripped up more than the Knicks have, which would make you think that the Spurs have more to clean up. They have the ability to close the margin. And if the Spurs did not blow the 29-point lead in that game, I think we'd be looking at this as 0-2. Spurs win a tight game 3, blow out the Knicks in game 4. They're building up. They're getting better as the series goes on. And so I look at this and I say, coming into this game, you're going to have to figure out something for Jose Alvarado, because he adds a different wrinkle, and this is why the playoffs are great, why I like a 7-game series, is the games evolve one game to the next. That was a magic bullet for the Knicks in some ways in game 4. That will not be a magic bullet, I suspect, in game 5. It might be effective, but I don't think it'll be a thing that completely changes the complexion of the game. So that, super punch is probably not going to work the same way. So you have that advantage for San Antonio. And then you have this one. Coming back 3 games when you're in the position San Antonio is, it really isn't just about 3 games. You go home, and no, you haven't won a game at home, in this series yet, but you go home in front of your home crowd. That is the way to bounce back from a tough loss from that. You get the boost from your home crowd, and you get a win. If you win that one, there's so much pressure on New York for Game 6. And even as Ben Stiller said in this last one, and as Legs told him, the energy in Madison Square Garden, I actually would disagree with Legs that I don't think it's different from every other arena. I just think it's amplified from every other arena, which is to say there is such a thing as nervous energy for a home crowd, but in New York, it's just magnified. So I think if you can get Game 5 and you go to Game 6, I do think that game will carry a special amount of pressure and anxiety. I think if there is a Game 6, it's likely to either be a Knicks blowout or to be an ugly game where both teams sense that nervous energy. And I think ugly games favor San Antonio. I think their defense is consistent. So if you're going to make this a defensive battle, I think they're in a good spot. And if the Knicks blow Game 5 and Game 6 and it comes back to San Antonio for Game 7, I think San Antonio would be a heavy favorite. So as much as this feels in a lot of ways like insurmountable, I still think that this Game 5 is an opportunity for San Antonio to get a win and exhale and let go of the disaster of blowing that game. I agree with Ben, which he kind of caught himself as he was saying that earlier on the show, that this team isn't Cleveland, which is to say Cleveland quit. Cleveland died once you hit them in the mouth. They got knocked out. They didn't get back up. San Antonio, I believe, will get up. And that brings us to the last topic here that I think is so interesting, which is Victor Wembanyama is a fantastic player, maybe the best player in the world, and is having this incredible run. Game 5 now becomes an important game for him. And I'm not talking legacy, because he's going to play for a long time. So there's a lot of things to go through with this. But Wemby takes center stage in a way that I think is very fascinating, because I don't know how he's going to respond to this one. I think his defense is going to be great. Playing 44 minutes in the last game, I think, was a huge factor. You get 2 days off. He was very good getting 2 days off between games 2 and 3. So you get a couple days off here to prepare for this game. I think he has to have an inspiring effort in this one. I think this one has to be a special game for him. not just for him, but for the Spurs. And I think what's great is you can look at De'Aaron Fox and what a rough go he had. He obviously needs to have a bounce back. Castle has to stay out of foul trouble. I think that detail alone probably would have tilted this last game into the Spurs' favor. Dylan Harper will have some pressure. But I think Wemby is going to have to calm the team down and give them a confidence, remind them of the confidence that helped them get here. And that's why it becomes something of a legacy game for him, something of, we're all kind of learning what Wemby is made of. Clearly made of a lot of the right stuff. But now you put himself into this position of Game 5, and I'm just so fascinated to get to watch it and see how he responds to it. On the Knicks side, do they carry the momentum into this one? Is there a letdown a little bit? Is there another adjustment? Is there something they found from Alvarado that allows them to make another adjustment in Game 5? So you're not just going back to the well, but you're going back to something now we say, oh, we found a crack in their defense, and we have multiple ways to exploit that crack now. That's what I find interesting about this game. We do have one super chat, though, before we get out of here, and it comes from History Channel 5280, who throws us $50. Thank you very much. If there's anything that this tragedy can teach us, it's that player is a precious commodity. Just because they have chiseled abs and stunning features, it doesn't mean that they, too, cannot break their pinky in a freak gasoline fight accident. It's a nice little Zoolander reference for everybody. You can hit that outro music there, Atticus. What a great show, man. We had to scramble today. You saw Legs was on his phone, not his typical mic setup. Had to scramble to make that happen, but Ben Stiller being able to join and walk us through his experience was just incredible. And this show has been incredible all week. We are back over the weekend with Mark Stein, setting the table for the upcoming week, which is where we start to turn our mind towards the draft, free agency, and all those things. As soon as the finals end, the NBA doesn't wait. They pivot immediately to the offseason. Mark Stein will have an update with that, and then on Monday, we're back with Tim Legler, either wrapping up the finals or previewing what will be a fantastic Game 6. Either way, make sure you're locked to this channel. Hit the like button. We'll see you guys next time.
We all silly like the mayor.